I'm Sean from Let's Talk Colorism.org, and today we have two guests here from Mix in America. And can you guys introduce yourselves?
Of course.
Hi guys, I'm Jasmine Jarvis, co-founder of Mix in America.
Smith.
Okay, and what is Mix in America? Like, what is it about?
Yeah, Mix in America is it's a nonprofit, and we look to have a more nuanced conversation about race in America, specifically through the multiracial, multicultural lens.
Okay. And Megan, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. So we have three mottos that we like to go by. It's bridge the gap, mix the movement, and find power in perspective. So we kind of use those three mottos to really guide the work that we're doing.
Okay. All right, and so today, Jasmine, Megan, and I, we're going to talk about colorism. Mix in America did a colorism week where they've been posting people's experience with colorism, different colorism articles, and they've really been, discussing colorism this week. So now we're going to discuss it together. So my first question that we're just going to throw out there, and we can just discuss it, is what are ways that the mixed community can work on the issues surrounding colorism? Now, I guess this could be any mixed person, no matter if they're like Black or not, because I feel like well, not all, but a lot of ethnic communities have issues with colorism. So this could be answered from a lot of different perspectives. But what can the mixed community do to work on colorism?
Yeah. I think number one is educate yourself on what it is. This has been a really eye-opening experience for Jasmine and I, just, leading a team, our Mix in America team, in educating ourselves on what colorism is and, where it comes from and how it affects like you were saying, it affects so many races and communities. So I think number one is knowing what it is and knowing how it affects these different communities. And then I think, there's a lot of responsibility that everyone kind of needs to take for colorism. But I think one thing that's important for the mixed community is if you happen to be someone who does benefit from colorism in any way, what my observation has been is that it's really important to acknowledge that, because it's affecting our darker skinned brothers and sisters in outrageous ways. So I think one thing that is like off top, like educate yourself, know the statistics, know the numbers, know the history, acknowledge and really reckon how it's benefited you. Like, I'll speak for myself. It's been, and it's not easy because I've been oppressed. I've experienced racism and discrimination. So it wasn't necessarily easy for me to have to learn and kind of acknowledge, like, I experience light skin privilege. I do.
Right.
And kind of that privilege and that oppression can live in the same space.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the hardest part to grapple with, is those two sides. I think sometimes we will quiet our struggle because we feel like it can trigger other people, or other people will take it as invalidating their struggle. And I think it's really, as a community, realizing that like one struggle does not invalidate another struggle, and to not compare struggles. Like there's no better, harder struggle between people of color. Like we're all having some sort of oppression. It comes in different forms. And I think if we acknowledge what one another is going through and find ways to support each other and help heal one another and come together to fight the bigger battle of racism instead of fighting each other, then we can really make a difference. And I also think it's important to have an awareness of the types of colorism that can live within ourselves that we don't even realize. We are conditioned by society, growing up in a world where even in the media, we're being conditioned to have some sort of colorism within us. And so I think it's really important to just be really self-observant of, the judgments we're unconsciously making, the choices we're making, and kind of just having that awareness of, is this a product of my conditioning,
Right.
of my colorism conditioning, or do I genuinely feel this way? So.
Yeah.
That was a really good point. You both brought up good points, but that was a really good point you made about having being able to be oppressed, but also recognizing privilege as well. They can both, coexist. So
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question is, how do you believe, and mixed people come in all different shades, but how do you believe mixed people can benefit from colorism, and how do you think that they are negatively impacted by colorism?
Yeah. Well, obviously, like what Megan was saying, there is a light skin privilege, because that's what colorism is, in the non-minority community. People with lighter skin tend to get more job offers. There's statistics on it that they get more jobs, that they get easier sentences for prison sentences. In Brazil, there was a statistic that 63% of the darker skinned Brazilians are in the poorest sectors in Brazil. So it's having real financial impacts. And so you can't ignore the fact that, like, yeah, you might have, I have to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, I might have gotten that job because I check the like diverse box, but I'm not all the way, I'm not 100% Black. So it's like, did I get this because I'm qualified, or did I get it so they could check a box, but like they don't have to necessarily hire a 100% Black person? Right. And so I think acknowledging that is a huge part of that light skin privilege that comes with it.
Yeah. I mean, going off of what Jazz said, I know that white people find me more comfortable because it's not as in their face that I'm ethnic, I'm Black, I'm this or that. It's like, I'm kind of a more diluted, I'm more tolerated, I probably won't act up as much. I probably won't cause as much of a fuss. All these assumptions are made about me before even knowing me, because I do act up and I do make a fuss. But, a lot of people will assume that, okay, they kind of get this benefit of like, oh, we get to check that diversity box with her, but she's not as like, dark. She's not as in our way or in our face, loud with her coloredness. Totally. And that is something I'm very aware of. And it's fascinating how businesses, I'm an actress, casting directors, people will try to get away with it, and that is a privilege. That is the rooms that I'm getting into. I know we have on the list to talk about dating, but the amount of times that I have been with gorgeous monoracial Black women, and everybody is beautiful, and I'll have dark-skinned Black men ignore them and come up to me. And I'll know why. I know it's just because we have believed that light is right. So they're coming up to me as if, it's just fascinating to me. But that's my privilege that I have to acknowledge.
And then on the other hand, like as a result of that, we're in these situations where we have a seat at the table, but we have the table with the wobbly legs. Like we're not 100% welcome to the table, And so we're in these environments where we're supposed to be holding down for us, it's holding down the Black perspective in these all white environments, but it's so unfair. It's a lot put on us. We're also not 100% Black. So it's like you're constantly grappling with like, okay, so let me try and fit into this situation, but I also really want to make sure that the Black voice is heard, since I'm the only one of color here in this room, especially if I'm working like in a corporate environment. I'm like, I want to make sure that they understand a Black person's perspective, and I feel like I have a duty in a sense to, when I'm the only person of color in an organization or in a room, to hold down that perspective. But it's hard because, one, I'm only one person. Two, I'm not 100% Black, so my perspective still isn't the same.
Right.
It's still not the same. So it comes with a lot of that, and also a lot of guilt, because then you're feeling guilty for the fact that you have this privilege. It's not something you ask for, but something you're given on a daily, and you're wondering, how do I reckon with this guilt, but at the same time still feel like I have some sort of self-worth in those situations as well.
That's such a good point. That is such a good point, because being a mixed race person, you do know the Black experience, but it is different.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like a lot of times, with like, we're all Black, it gets, I mean, that I think both things can exist. I feel like we can all be Black, but there's also a different experience. And I just don't think it's true to say, when people may look at me, or when they look at you, that's white people or Black people, that they see the exact same person.
Right. Well, when it comes down to it, every single individual person is so different. And we try, sometimes as humans, we try and live in absolutes, where it's like, you're this or you're that. Like, and so being a mixed person is like literally the complete opposite of that truth. Like, we are walking duality. We are not just this, that, or that. We are all the in between. We're the gray area. And so I think it's really teaching other people to look at the world like that and realize that everyone doesn't live in these absolutes, and it's not just black and white, and there's lots of shades of gray.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good points from both. Okay. So we're gonna move on to our next question, which is, okay, how does the media use the mixed race community to perpetuate colorism? Or if you think they do, if you think they don't, whatever perspective you want.
We definitely think they do.
Yeah.
So the thing that I like to think about to explain that is, the idea of Black excellence has historically been mixed people, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Halle Berry, the first African American actress to win an award, I think the Oscar, I'm not sure which award it was, but she's mixed. She's a mixed woman. It took two different races to make Halle Berry, you know what I mean? And she was more acceptable. She had more European features. She was lighter. Mariah Carey, mixed, holding, but there's this picture that Jasmine and I were talking about, and under it says Black excellence, and it's a picture of all these powerful dark-skinned Black men, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, all these Black men, and then their wives or their ladies.
Yeah, I've seen the picture.
You've seen this one, and it's Beyonce, Alicia Keys, all these lighter-skinned Black women who are beautiful women, who are strong, powerful women trying to have these conversations about the Black experience. But the fact that there's no extremely melanated women up there, but that's supposed to represent Black excellence.
Right.
That's problematic. What is that
Definitely.
saying? Why aren't we uplifting dark-skinned people and saying that that's beautiful too, and that's worthy as well?
Points were made. Okay.
Yeah, it's tough. We're really perpetuating it,
Definitely
ourselves.
agree with it.
Yeah.
This question I didn't send you guys, but it's something that's been on my mind, and I was thinking about since we decided to talk.
Yeah, shoot.
Do you guys feel like, okay, so we know how, the one drop rule was created by, racist white people back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel in a way that it definitely contributes to colorism, because I feel at times people want to force, Black mixed people to identify as Black and not mixed. And it's offensive sometimes for a mixed person to consider themselves mixed.
Yeah.
I read this article about how sometimes mixed people struggle with they usually take on like the race of whichever is more oppressed. So if
Yes.
they are mixed with, you know, black or and white, they will usually identify as black because of, I guess, the pressures that come along with being black. So with all that, I think that considering mixed people 100 that are black, 100% black, contributes to colorism because, you know, we put, you know, so we're talking about media, you're putting only, you know, mixed race black women on TV, and then people will say like, oh, it is someone black, it is someone black, because of the categorizing of black mixed people as just completely black. It erases monoracial black women. So I
Yeah.
feel like
It erases both sides, essentially. It erases monoracial people, but it erases mixed people. That's why we created Mixed in America, because it's like we didn't have an identity. It's like, no. You have to choose. You're brown, go with the brown people, like, and that's it. But like at the same time, we don't really 100% fit in. Like we're getting, you know, resentment and getting some exclusion sometimes when because they're like, no, but you're not black, you know. So that's why I created this space, because they're trying to erase the mixed identity essentially by just putting us in with the black people when they want to check that box, but we don't really 100% fit into that box, and it definitely contributes to colorism. And I don't even think, like, growing up, I don't remember ever giving the term or opportunity to claim myself as mixed. No one told me that that was a choice. They said, you're a black girl, you know, so that's all I knew. I didn't know that I could call myself something else. So I think it for sure just starts with everybody having an awareness that that's its own race, you know, that the combination of races can be its own race, and we need our own community too, and that's kind of what we've tried to do, so that way we do feel like there's a space for us, and we don't just have to like go where we kind of fit, you know, we can go where we 100% fit. And yeah, I just think 100% contributes to colorism, because then now that we're allowing them to check that box, because we're giving them permission to say, yeah, you check the black box. Even with Barack Obama, that's a big one that I talk about often, because I was just like screaming in my head, like, guys, but he's not 100% black. You guys realize this, right? Like, you are allowing America to say, we had a black president. What are you talking about? We're not racist. But it's like, but yeah, relax. You had a half black president. We have not checked that box yet.
Agree.
Like, and people get upset by it. People get upset
they do
sometimes. But it's like, that's the type of stuff that's contributing to colorism, when we allow the media to claim people as black when they're mixed. And I think it's okay to say that I am black, but it's important to acknowledge that that's not only what I am. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I don't think I feel like people don't find it acceptable sometimes for mixed people to identify as mixed. Like, they really will take it offensively.
Yeah.
So yes, I completely agree. I don't know. My theory is that because of especially with like the black community, because of like oppression and, you know, what we have faced in America, I feel like trying to force mixed people to mixed race black people to just only identify as black.
Yeah, it comes from like a space of wanting to have solidarity. Because we're more in numbers, right? The more of us that can come together, the more we can like battle. But I think we can still do that, you know? We can still do that.
It's also, there's such a fear of complexity. Like, we in America, we're so afraid of nuance, because let's be real, we're just now giving people of color the mic to talk, okay? So like, then being like, oh, all of you guys aren't the same, you don't all have the same thoughts and problems as one another, like, sorry, we
overload.
Don't know what to do about that. Like, we're just now believing that y'all are oppressed and that racism is real. So like, trying to get America to understand that there's nuance to oppression, there's nuance to identity and how people of color identify, that's hard, that's tough. and that's what we're trying to do at Mixed in America is say like, look, there's mixed people that identify as mixed. There's mixed people. Let's say, you know, I have a dear friend named Dominica, and she's half Black. She's like probably in between me and Jasmine's coloring. Her experience is that of a Black woman. That's what that's her perspective. And she identifies as such because she feels that she walks in the world as a Black woman. It's undeniable that she's Black. She's treated as such. And so that's how she identifies. And who am I to say anything about that? You know what I mean? That's where she's at. So I respect how people identify, but I think there's a large group of mixed people who want the space to be able to say, like, I am something different. You know, I have both in me. Like Jasmine and I say, you know, mixed Black and white people have the slave and the slave master within us. And that is the kind of like guilt and
anger,
duality and kind of freakiness that's kind of always within us. And that's similar to how colorism works for at least someone like me. We take it back to like the example of slavery of like, for mixed people, the first mixed people were products of rape. You know what I mean? So what does that do to someone to be like, I'm privileged because I'm here in the house. I'm a house slave. It's better to be a house slave than a field slave. But I'm dealing with the fact that my mother's probably out in the field. I'm dealing with the fact that I'm getting abused by Massa's wife because she hates me. But I know it's just like it's the battle within us, and it's like I'm dealing with the privilege, but I'm also dealing with the fact that I'm still not good enough though. And so it's like it's heavy. It weighs heavy, I think, on mixed people's psyches.
Yeah. A lot of internal chaos. And I think, like, going back to what you're saying about identifying, I think people have the right to identify how they want to identify, but I think you want to check within yourself to make sure, why am I identifying like this? Am I identifying myself like this because of a product of my environment and everyone telling me what I am? Or is it because I genuinely feel deep down inside that this is how I identify? I think that distinction is important.
Yeah.
Okay. Good points. Okay, so we have our last question. Our last question. Okay, and then we could bring up something if we want to. Okay. Our last question is, how does colorism impact mixed race women in dating and marriage?
We could have a whole episode on this.
Yeah.
It's tough. There can be fetishization from either side, like you can be fetishized by a white person, you can be fetishized by a 100% Black person. So it's like, sometimes I wonder I really have to check and be like, what are you actually into me for? Like, is it because I'm like this like weird, exotic flower that's, or is it because you genuinely see who I am on the inside? And it's for sure, I've had to grow to that awareness, because before I was just like, I had no idea that like people were choosing me because I'm light skin, and it wasn't that they actually genuinely liked me, like I could be replaced by any light skinned girl to them. So it's a tough topic.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. Like, sometimes you don't know, like, I feel that probably as a mixed race woman, sometimes you just wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Someone's true intention with you.
In college, this is kind of screwed up, but one of my guy friends called me the gateway drug to full Black girls. He'd be like, you could always tell if a white guy was secretly like interested in like Black girls because they might try to get with Megan, and then they would date a full monoracial girl. And so he started calling me so he started calling me the gateway drug. I was like,
that is wild.
But it's such a perfect example, though, of like how fetishization has affected me. I've so been that for so many guys. Like, I'm the if a guy is into a more exotic look, or he does really like women of color, but they're worried about how society would view it or what their parents would think, I'm much more acceptable to take home than Jasmine, you know, because I'm fair. So you can kind of, I can mask it, you know what I mean? So I, you know, the whole pretty for a Black girl, all of that is like, was so what I dealt with all through high school and college, because I know it was because I was lighter, you know, I have the features, but I'm light skinned. So, and that's icky. That feels bizarre. It's like, it feels just very strange.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you date either white or, you know, Black men, they're vocal about that? About
Black
your
men,
color?
in my experience, I've really only dated Black men. So, but in my experience, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like, and you can even see like in the Black community, they're not really afraid to speak about being light skinned whatsoever. That is a very term that's used all the time, and it's used a lot of different ways. And so, you know, or red bone, you know, or like all these terms just describe women that are just like permeated everywhere in Black culture, in rap music. It's just like constantly talking about women in this way. And so for sure, I've gotten all sorts of terms, and you know, they try to use it in a way of a complimentary way, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's pretty little light skin, or like, oh, I want me a red bone or whatever. But it's like, it's very objectifying. Like we're an object or a car, then that's the type of color of the car you want, you know?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Megan, what about you on the other side?
I mean, I feel like I've had everything under the sun happen. I mean, I feel usually how I get hit on is based off of like what are you, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with this?
What's happening?
I get that a lot. What is all of this? Okay. Like, that's how it like usually starts. I've dated lots of white men also, and I think they usually have some, it's almost like they want to rebel with me. You know what I mean? They think I'm rebellious. Like, ooh, like, let's try this. Let's spicy. She's got spice. Like, it's kind of that kind of energy. And then, you know, I dated this one dark-skinned Black guy, and his thing was kind of like, he did tell me pretty early on when we were dating, he was like, yeah, I've dated lots of girls that look like you. And I was like, thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Like, all right.
I'm feeling really special.
So I'm one of many. Great.
Right. Yeah, where it's like more about the kind, like this, the idealism of light-skinned women, and less about like me personally.
Who you are as a person, right?
Yeah.
And do you find that in those situations, do people bring up children a lot to you?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
dude, I get that. I literally broke up. My last boyfriend, I broke up with him because of this. Because I couldn't take that he just kept talking about it. I was like, I don't actually think you like me. Like, I think you just want to breed with me. Like, it was very greedy. Like, all the time. Ooh, curly light. I can't wait for a curly light skin haired, you know, babies. And I'm like, first of all, we've been dating for a week. Relax. Like,
chill out.
No, I don't like that. It makes me feel like a horse or something. Like,
right.
I don't want to breed.
Like, you're an actual person, not.
Yeah. Who said I wanted to have a kid with you?
Exactly. Who said they want?
And I think that's like, that brings up such a good part of the objectification and the fetishization with mixed people, is like, we get dumbed down to just like, everything's about our looks and our appearance. And I think this plays a large role with colorism. And I think it's why there's so much resentment towards us from darker skinned people, because we get diluted to just these like, you know, uptight, oh, everything's about looks with you, like, you're light skinned, like, you think you're hot shit. And it's like, no, I don't trust and believe.
We know it's not authentic. That's the thing. We know it's not genuine.
Yeah, it's just that people are stepping to me with all these assumptions. You know what I mean? And like when the first thing you say is you're excited about our kids, like that's bizarre.
That literally
that,
grossed me out.
it no longer is about me, and it's just about like the my features. It's about what the features I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being mixed race women, people have this could be from either side, disliked you because of your color?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. I was just actually saying this to somebody else today, that for me, my mother's Black. My mom is my mom is the most gorgeous woman I have ever known. And to me, the pinnacle of beauty is a Black woman. That's what I've always believed. And so, you know, I have so much, as soon as I get around Black women, like monoracial Black women, I can't even help it. I want their approval. It's like, and I've always felt since I was a little girl, I have to work hard to get their approval. And I always feel like I have to kind of like put them at ease. And I'll do that all kinds of ways, by kind of like not dumbing myself down, but joking about myself a lot, kind of in a self-deprecating kind of way, just so that they know I don't think like my shit doesn't stink. Like I'm not stuck up. Like I don't think I'm better than you. Like I want to hype Black women. So like I do whatever it takes basically to let them know that like I'm cool. Like don't worry, I'm not stuck up. I'm not trying to like be extra. And it works. It's just that like I have to do that so that I can feel comfortable and so that I can let them know I'm not stuck up, because there is that assumption kind of hanging over my head because I'm so light skinned.
Yeah, it exists. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think the same way. I think I've been like subconsciously just kind of started being like overly nice and like overly quiet maybe in situations like that. It's totally that guilt. I'm sure that's where it stems from, and just feeling some guilt inside of me. And I it's like, you know, it's similar to how a lot of white people I know behave around a lot of Black people, because it's just, and it's still, it's subconscious, but it's just that guilt will make them kind of be like overly like ginger and like trying to dim themselves down, trying to be quiet. And so it's like, again, we're still battling those two sides within us of one of us wants to be loud and angry because we've been oppressed for so long, and the other side of us wants to be quiet and dim it down because you also got some privilege over here. So it's like the back and forth.
Yeah. That's so big. That's such a great point. It's like, it's this battle where you want to be like, no, I want you to accept me so bad. Like, I really want you to claim me, because that's the thing with mixed people. We just we just don't feel claimed anywhere. Yeah. So we're like little, I feel like we get deemed stuck up, but really I feel like we're little like needy babies that are like, please, like somebody like
claim me.
It's like you really don't I guess it's hard to feel accepted when it's, you know, when you have two different races. So I guess it's hard to feel accepted with either one, because you're not completely, you know, you're not completely either one.
Yeah. And but by the same token, like I so get, like, well, just taking it with like women, I so get why a dark-skinned Black woman might have some hesitation with me. I really do. I feel like the world has told her that she's less than. Oh, the world in every way, the media is telling her, in the way she's treated and jobs that she does and doesn't get. Like the world is telling her that she is not as beautiful because she is darker. Like, so I completely get, like, how could you not have some resentment?
Yeah.
Like, so
absolutely.
So it's kind of like we're all trying to heal this wound, and it's hard. It's hard.
So let me ask you, so how do you think this do you feel the same way when you're around lighter skinned Black women? Like, do you feel like there's more of a connection there, or
I think because sometimes it can play also into the factors of not just skin tone, but also our features.
Of course.
So like our curly hair, we have white features on our face. And so even if we're the same skin tone, there's still the privilege that comes with that. It's not just colorism.
Completely.
It's actually like the fact that we have white features, that will allow us to get that privilege as well too. So I think that even if we're the same color, if I'm in a group of all Black women though, but we're the same color, there's still going to be a part of me that feels that way because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
That definitely plays into it.
Yeah. For me, it really feels like once I kind of get the trust of like, whatever Black woman we're talking about, once I get her trust, then I feel like I'm myself again. And then I feel like they're more receptive to hearing my struggles and I'm more receptive to hearing theirs, because there's like a trust and we know like we're on the same team here, like nothing, I'm not trying to like do anything, 100%. But I think
the situations we were talking about before were kind of more of like people that you're not friends with, I will say, because
of course,
I have tons of dark skinned friends, and like I don't feel that.
Yeah, we're talking about like
I feel 100% myself.
Yeah, like new meetings.
That's a good point to note for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all have made so many good points. So I want to end this with just we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. I'm so glad we did this. But we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. But what more can we do?
Yeah, I think it's a journey. It's a journey. We're in the kind of the phase of awareness. We're in an awareness phase. And I think it's important to not skip any steps here. Yes. I think it's important to make sure that as a community and as a world, as a people, that we are all super educated. And I think we're still really very much so in that phase. Mm-hmm. And just having, like I said, that self-awareness of we can only heal ourselves. We cannot heal another person. We cannot teach another person necessarily, change another person. So I think making those changes within ourselves is the first and foremost step.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, taking it back to education, but also, you know, I like to think that the way that we can heal something like colorism is like, think about the perspective that is not your own and really think about it. Like it's almost like you have to kind of, your own trauma, if your own trauma is like a little baby, it's kind of like you need to like put it in bed and let it take a nap and then kind of shift gears to somebody else's trauma baby and get to know it. Like, what is it? Like, for me, while we've been looking at colorism, I have been really trying to think about what it would be like to be a dark-skinned Black woman in America and like, actually, like, literally knowing I'm not getting jobs and opportunities because of my skin color. Like, what it actually feels like for men that are the same color as me to not pick me and to pick women lighter just because they're lighter. Like, and how that would affect my confidence, how that would change the way I move and operate in the world, how that would affect my worthiness or lack thereof. That has been the thing that has made me say, aha, yeah, I need to kind of like check myself and actively look for opportunities to elevate the people affected by colorism in as much as I can. You know, how can I undo the thinking? It starts with me. I have to undo the thinking. I have to get real with the fact that this is a real problem that I'm benefiting from. How have I perpetuated it without knowing? How are we all perpetuating it? I think if we all identify that, then we can start making some moves here, because the real enemy is white America. And, you know, white America, this is what's so disgusting about colorism. White America has penetrated us. It's penetrated them, our like sacred minority groups, and made us believe that we are not as beautiful, or that the ones of the versions of us that are the lightest and the whitest are the most beautiful. And it's sick. It's so sick, you know? And so it's undoing.
Totally.
You made such a good point about seeing others' perspectives, because like me personally, before, this year, I would have never been one to think like, this sounds bad, but like, oh, mixed people would have struggles, I'm like, oh, everyone thinks they're beautiful, everyone likes them, everyone, everyone wants to date them, what could they possibly be struggling with? But that's something that I had to, like you said, put aside your own trauma and look at, how would I feel if I was, constantly approached and just my looks were talked about. And how would I feel if I was, like you said, which I feel like is very hurtful, to be with someone and feel like the only reason why they're with you is because they like a breeding thing.
Yeah, they want to breed.
Yeah, like that. And past that, mixed people can face, when mixed people come out and they don't have the stereotypical mixed look, the curly hair or the perfect mixed skin tone, then they can be rejected as well. It's so many issues. I feel like it's so important to, to just listen.
Yeah.
Listen to other perspectives, and because I definitely was like, what in the why she's, everyone thinks she's pretty. Like what could she possibly, have to face? But because I mean I read this article the other day, was talking about, I think you guys posted it, the stereotype about mixed people is that they're,
I think
okay. So and that is the stereotype. So that's why people, say they want mixed kids. That's why people date so that they can have mixed kids. That's why, that's what a lot of people want, what a lot of people desire. But behind all that and besides all that, there's definitely, still pain. There's definitely
Definitely. Yeah, I get super triggered actually by like for the Kardashians, for example, they trigger me in a way, some of them, because they have a lot of mixed babies, but I feel like that they don't acknowledge the struggles that are going to come from having those children, and it frustrates me because it's like, you just want this pretty mixed baby, but you have no idea what this child's about to go through and the struggles that you go through as a mixed child, especially in a very white predominant world, living in Hollywood and the media. Like it's gonna be a certain struggle, and so I'm like, please pay attention. Like your kid is gonna struggle. Like you have this cute little like trophy, but you have a half black child that's gonna have some struggles. Please acknowledge that. It triggers me for sure.
And I think the less and less we can, well, I should say, the more we can try to stay away from comparing struggles as people of color, and the more we can say, what is your pain? Like, I would love to hear it. I want to learn what you deal with. And then I'd love to share with you what I deal with, so that we can both learn something and find ways to uplift each other and free each other, because all people of color are hurting. All people of color are oppressed and in pain in some way, and the more we can listen to as many different colors and shades and experiences as we can, the more we can, figure out the way to mend this and like bridge this gap. And I mean, what's so interesting, ladies, is we've really only focused on the Black perspective of colorism.
Yeah, we have.
We could have hours.
We could sit here and
India, what I mean? And Asian culture, like there is so much. Like this is real.
Yes,
like
this conversation could really go. I did study abroad in Thailand, and the colorism there is like all their products have bleaching creams. Like you can't even get any lotion like that does not have some bleaching in it. Like if you forget your lotion at home, you'll be ashy the whole time you're there.
Just saying.
All the stuff has bleaching in it. Like my classmates.
That's crazy. I didn't know all the products had bleach in it.
Everything has some type of bleaching in it. My classmates that walk around, it's like 1,000,000 degrees out there with umbrellas over their faces. And I remember when I was down there, this guy, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, yeah, but he's like, oh, black, you're so black. And I actually was with one of my classmates. She was a mixed race black girl, and so she was especially among like the Chinese people, she was really, really popular among them. So I feel like not only is there like colorism between people's of the same race, other people have, colorism issues with, black people as well, because we like went on a boat and they were like, not that I was, super pressed about it, but we went on a boat and like they were all like just crowding around her, like taking pictures with her, and like I guess it did kind of hurt my feelings, if we're being honest, but I would kind of standing right there like, so, but yes, they were very, very obsessed with her. Pretty, regardless of the fact that she's, mixed or not. She's a very pretty girl, so, understandable, but there's definitely.
But that's such a bad feeling for you.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
the thing is, you can't escape colorism. You can't escape it.
Mm-mm.
Everywhere you go, every culture that it exists. So we got to fix it.
Yeah, every culture.
And it's just conditioning. Like beauty is so subjective. We've just told ourselves that these features are what's hot. And once you really take the time to undo that.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
There is a
like
beauty standard.
Oh,
but we created it. So
we created it. And what people of color really need to do is remember what they're perpetuating when we're chasing this light-skinned ideal, when we're chasing these European features and making that the pinnacle of beauty. We are perpetuating white is right. You know what I mean? And we say that that's not what we want.
Yeah, we do. We will say no. It's nothing. It's not about being. Yes, it is.
But it is. That's the
everything
root.
about being white. But no, the light skin thing is rooted in whiteness. It's rooted in white supremacy.
Yeah.
So it's all about wanting this whiteness. So it's crazy when people say, "Oh, it's not about being white," or "It's not about." Yeah, it is.
Trace it back.
Yeah, trace it back.
Just trace it back.
Revering and looking to whiteness as its everything, and that's really what colorism is about. So you're definitely right. We have to change our perception of beauty. We have to change our perception of what are good features. We have to stop commenting on people's noses. We have to stop.
That part.
Like, it's just change. It's just our own internalized anti-blackness as far as colorism in the black. So,
and representation is such a big part of that. Like, the more we're seeing like heavily melanated people, and we are highlighting them and showing that they are beautiful, and leads of shows, leads of movies, like we're seeing these people as leaders in our community, and we're saying how gorgeous they are. We're highlighting that dark skin is stunning. That's going to change the game, natural hair.
Yeah, just seeing them more.
That's going to change.
Well, because a lot of beauty has to just do with familiarity. Like what we're familiar with seeing. And so then we say that's beautiful because we're used to seeing it, but we don't really know. Is that what we really think is beautiful, or is it just because we see it so much that that's what we think it is?
That's a really good point, especially to have like movies. That's really all you see.
That's all you see. Growing up, I wanted so bad to be a little blonde white girl because that's all I saw on TV. I went to school in a very white suburban neighborhood, so I wanted to be that because I thought that's beautiful. But like now, I'm like, I didn't actually think, not to say that they aren't beautiful, but I didn't actually think that was the pinnacle of beauty. That's all I saw. I want to be a movie star. I want to be a celebrity. I want to be famous. Like, you got to be white then.
Completely.
Yeah.
At a young age.
It's the same with relationships. Like on TV, you only see, like with Black couples, you'll see it can be a dark skinned man, but the woman always has to be, always has to be whiter than the man. So people take that into their real life. It's really, especially for me, I don't know about you guys, but it's not that common to see, like, you know, two dark skinned people together. It's really not. It's not a common thing. And I mean, a lot of it's because people don't want darker babies. But I would say a lot of it is also because of television, because of the media, because of just
absolutely
everything that says it has to be a dark man and a light woman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's so damaging.
It's so damaging.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like I was so confused as a kid because, and I'm just now like putting words to it, but my mother had, again, who, if you saw a picture of my mom, Sean, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, you were the hottest woman I've ever seen.
Okay, and after this, you have to send me a picture of your mom.
I will. I'm going to send you a picture of her. But she dealt with so much self-hate growing up. And, you know, I think she really made me feel like I was lucky. Like, you got your, like, I think she felt like, whew, my daughter's not going to have to go through what I went through. Like, that I was lighter skinned and I got the good hair and I got the light eyes and like all this stuff. And she was like, oh, you're so beautiful. And I, like, you know, it was good because I felt confident, but I remember always being confused, and I'd be like, but mommy, like, you're gorgeous. Like, I love your nose. I love your skin. I thought it was like her, you know, she's this gorgeous, voluptuous woman. I loved that and wanted to be that. I always wanted to be darker. I was always out in the sun, like, come on. Yeah. I want to look like my mom. And so I found that so confusing, but now I know the world was telling her she wasn't beautiful, you know? So she was envying how I turned out. And it's just a damn shame.
Yeah. I think a lot of people feel that way. That's why they, you know, continue with this idea of I have to have this type of woman so I can have this type of child.
Yep. Yeah. For sure.
And
thank you. And it's also yeah, it's just so much to do with the unconditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta do.
Do you?
And we're doing the work, all of us.
Do you have anything you'd like to say to the mixed community as a darker skinned woman, Sean, that like you want us to know?
Well, I would say, and not you two in particular, or, you know, the mixed community as a whole, but I would say as mixed women, and there are plenty of mixed women, well, I won't say plenty, there are a lot of mixed women that I've interacted with who do know about colorism, who do try to speak out about colorism, you know, including the two of you. But I feel like it's important to not indulge in the privilege that's associated with it.
Yeah.
So if you meet, a lot of times people will meet, I'll just talk about we can talk about in dating and in like movies. Like we have like Zendaya, for example, who turns down roles if she feels like, you know, it would be better served for darker skinned women or roles that, and she has spoken out against.
That's a great point.
Yeah, spoken out against colorism and spoken out against how she feels like she is the look that, you know, Hollywood wants to go for when they want a, you know, Black person. So I would say speaking out in dating, you know, there is a lot of don't date men who perpetuate colorism.
Absolutely.
And, like,
yeah, let's just go standard for anybody. Like,
yeah, I feel like a lot of
leave them alone.
Just leave them alone. I feel like a lot of people brush off the comments and kind of enjoy being glorified for that. Some people, I definitely won't say all, but a lot of people enjoy glorification. So
totally.
yeah, so that's what I would say. Just be um just conscious of what it is to be, a person, and the benefits of it, despite, the drawbacks and the struggles faced, that there are benefits. And so I would
Right.
say using that to help.
Absolutely. I think that's actually something that I really resonate with. I feel like I often ask, in a bigger picture, like, why was I given this? Like, we don't choose what race we are, but like, what am I supposed to do with this? God, like, why do I have this privilege? And a lot of times I do feel deep, like it resonates deep within me that I'm supposed to like use this as a way to lift up, everybody, to lift up my darker skinned brothers and sisters. So I like use it as a like a secret weapon. Like, yeah, let me in, let me in.
Yeah.
You think you're getting this like person that's half white, but I'm about to bring
Right,
you
shake it up.
all of the Black agenda. So buckle up. Like I've gotten in full on like own out fights with employers because they thought they were hiring the half white girl, but they forgot I was half Black too. Like it came with the fire. So I like to use it as my secret weapon. Like let me in. Let me in. See what happens.
Yes, I completely agree. Even if that is the reason why you're hiring me, or why you're talking to me, or why whatever, I can flip that and educate you and get you together. Like,
I'm gonna make you feel more uncomfortable than if you would have just hired a full Black woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like they're cracking open the door for mixed people, and we need to like open that shit up all the way,
like,
and let it like,
get in.
Yeah, people. And I think that's the way to look at it. I mean, I can't stress enough how much, to me, the steps are: educate yourself, acknowledge your privilege, find ways to listen and learn, and elevate people who don't have the opportunities that you have. Like, I really think, because it takes, people who look different than you, or like if I'm speaking, then it takes me kind of really leveling with someone who is darker than me so that they know I'm on your team. Like, I got you. And I think the more we can try to do that for one another, the stronger we'll be. Then we'll actually all be on the same team, and we can turn over these ridiculous and untrue beauty standards that are affecting us and our children. Like, we have to change this for the generations that are younger, because we just can't have little, we can't have these babies that are dark skinned thinking that they're ugly and dirty and unworthy. We just can't. We just have to change that.
Yeah.
One last point I want to make is because I like what we were talking about with advocacy. Although dark skinned people, dark skinned women especially, have been talking about colorism and how it impacts them. For a lot of people, like we're talking about privilege, for a lot of people, hearing, about how colorism impacts dark skinned women, about how it impacts dark skinned people, would be more, well received coming from, the two of you, and would be actually more impactful for some people, because that's what they look towards, and that's what they find respect in. And we even have studies that find that some people view lighter skinned people as smarter, so that's what they view as smarter. So just using
it
to speak out about it, because a lot of times if you're dark skinned, and you're a woman and you're talking about colorism, people don't care. They want you to shut up. They want you to stop complaining. They think you're just jealous. But to hear, I even saw a video. It was like of a people doing like a colorism chat in person with like men and women, and it was like when the dark skinned girl was speaking about her experiences. Yeah, did you see the video?
I saw this.
Oh, okay, yeah. People they were like, but then the light skinned girl kind of said like the same thing, and the men were like way more receptive.
Yeah, and you're like,
way more.
What
like,
the hell?
we're saying the same thing, but you find me more attractive, so that's why you're going to listen to what I'm saying. And you think, you think I'm better, so you're gonna listen to me say this you're gonna listen to me say this. And that's the same with like you know the song I put up, like Spice, the Black Hypocrisy song.
Nuh-uh.
Okay, well it's a song about colorism. It's called Black Hypocrisy by Spice. Then we have like Brown Skin Girls by Beyonce. So Spice made this song first. She's a dark-skinned woman. The song is not as popular, and although it has a more punching message, so that could also be why it's not as popular. But I feel like people celebrate anti-colorism content more if it's from someone they find attractive or someone that's lighter. So like, you gotta, I mean, you hate to say it, you hate to see it, but you gotta, it's true. So you just gotta use that to speak out.
Yep. Yeah.
Use it as a weapon.
No, yeah. I firmly believe it. If you are a person of color who has light skin privilege, don't deny it.
You have a responsibility.
Yes, you have a responsibility. It's that idea that it's like fault versus responsibility. It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
Colorism exists, but it is my responsibility to acknowledge my privilege and to find ways to lift up those of color that aren't as privileged as me. You know what I mean? It is my responsibility, and to not know that is to be in denial, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. This is awesome.
This was really, 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 really good. It was.
And I have to say, just so you know, like we have been such fans of your page, like the work that you are doing, the analysis that you are doing on TV shows to really just show that this is a real issue, and the work you're doing is not unnoticed. Like, you have taught us so much. Diving into colorism you were such an inspiration in that. You know, we found your page, because of your page, we found Vanessa from The Ugly Black Woman on Instagram, and we are humbled by the work that y'all are doing, and it literally is what sparked Jasmine and I being like, we need to talk about colorism. Like, we are scared. We were scared.
We were scared, yeah.
You're scared. Lighter-skinned mixed women, because we knew it was going to trigger people, but we really wanted to educate ourselves, and we wanted to know what our responsibility is. And because of you and people like Vanessa, we feel so much clearer about what our purpose is and how we can help.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really excited to post this.
Me too. And
me too.
We can work together again, girls. Like,
yes, I would love to. Yes.
You know, do highlighted topics, go dive all the way in. I would love that.
I would definitely love to link up again. So
for sure.
It's gonna happen then. Yes, it's gonna happen. So
we got nothing but time.
I definitely think we can work together on other things and, you know, promote what we're trying to promote. So really
reach out. You should when you get a chance, if you would send us like a headshot of yourself, any picture that you like, and maybe a little bit about yourself, and we want to send our followers to your page so that they can learn, honey.
Educate.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. It was so nice meeting y'all.
You too.
It was so good.
An amazing opportunity.
So good. Okay.
All right, ladies.
Bye, guys. It was
Bye.
so nice. Bye.